Welcome to Mobility Matters, the bi-weekly live stream show covering transportation topics of interest, presented by the CITT, that's the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, the organization overseeing the use of the half-penny sales tax in Miami-Dade County. Thank you for joining us here on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching from. We're streaming directly from Community News Network. That's on the social media platforms of Miami's community newspapers. And I'm Cheryl Mizell, the CITT Ambassador Program Coordinator for the CITT. I'm in today for your regular host, Javier Betancourt, the CITT Executive Director, and just keeping you informed about the volunteer CITT ambassadors who ride transit as secret shoppers and use a mobile app to give feedback about their experiences in exchange for rewards, all for the purpose of improving transit services here in Miami-Dade County. By the way, are you a frequent transit rider? Then stay close, because later in the show, we'll talk a little bit about how you can start earning those rewards, such as transit passes or credits for Uber or Lyft, city bike sharing, and get around car sharing. If any of that sounds good for you, then stay tuned. But right now, I'd like to briefly introduce you to our featured guest for today's Mobility Matters. He's a seasoned professional with over 38 years in operations and management, which includes 30 years in the rail transportation area and 8 years in aerospace engineering. Oh my God, what it takes to work in transportation these days. Our guest this morning is General Superintendent with Miami-Dade County's Department of Transportation and Public Works, who is responsible for the operation of the Transit Central Control Center and Metro Rail and Metro Mover Transportation. Meet Gregory N. Robinson. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
So glad to have you here. It took a lot to get here, that busy schedule,
Yes,
but
it's
you made it. You made it, and we're so glad. I worked hard to get that interview, boy. Let me tell you.
Pleasure to be here.
Greg, before you and I get started with our conversation, I'd like to reach out to our viewing community and just ask them to please visit our webpage to learn more about the CITT and how to apply to become a CIT Trust member or a CIT ambassador. That is miamidade.gov/CITT. You'll see the crawler at the bottom of the screen if you didn't get a chance to write it down. And as I mentioned earlier, if you know someone who's a frequent transit rider, or if you are, and you like to give feedback and rewards, you can just take a picture of that QR code that you see on the screen, and it'll take you directly to our homepage, and there you'll find a link to our ambassador page, also a link to our CITT Trust member page, so you can fill out applications for either or both. So now, let's get started. Gregory.
Good morning again.
Good morning. So let's just start at the beginning. Tell me a little bit about yourself and this path from FAMU to being a general superintendent in charge of rail services in Miami-Dade County.
Yes, I'm born and raised Miamian. I attended Florida A&M University, majored in electronic engineering, and while I was there, I was a member of the incomparable Marching 100 band, which I'm so proud to be a part of. Lifetime friends and experiences from that. After Florida A&M, I interned at the Cape, at the Kennedy Space Center for Computer Science Corporation. Then was hired the year after for McDonnell Douglas Astronautics with the Tomahawk Cruise Missile Program. And that went on for a little over 8 years until there was a Challenger explosion, and then the Kennedy Space Center just pretty much just died off for a while. I was lucky to had an encounter with Mr. Roosevelt Bradley, who ran the Control Center back then. He was our previous director. And he induced me to apply for a job at the Control Center, and I became a rail traffic controller. Some of the basic technology with engineering was the same applied there. And so I joined the transportation department, and Roosevelt Bradley was the chief of the control center at that time. And as he moved on and moved out of the way, I became a lead worker, then subsequently chief of the control room. And then a few years later after that, approximately 10 years, became the general superintendent that was over the control center for Metrorail and Metromover, all the train operators, all the rail supervisors, including a small central operation in our yard facility that dispatches the train from a maintenance facility to the main line that provides service on a regular basis every day. It's been quite an experience. I'm also, in addition, in fact, actually, I just stepped down from being the president of COMPTO. COMPTO is a community of minority transportation officials. That's an organization that looks out for minorities in transportation. We do a lot of things with the youth community, trying to introduce young folks to transit. Great deal they see nothing but a bus operator, a train operator, but so many more opportunities that we're trying to introduce some young folks to, so we can increase our manpower and continue on. There's a lot happening in transportation now. You're pretty much familiar with our SMART plan, and you see us growing in different directions. So we're trying to support all those actions, and I'm really excited about it. I'm somewhat at the twilight of my career.
I see.
And it's exciting to see the opportunities that's still available and that I may be a part of for a little while longer.
Yes. So when you came to the county, by then of course the rail was up and operating.
Yes.
At that point in time. But let's go back a little bit further to when you talked about working in astronautics.
Astronautics.
Astronautics. Yes. What exactly did you do?
I was considered a test engineer. What McDonnell Douglas was doing during those days, they took a group of engineers from St. Louis that was at their senior years and about to retire, and they hired a bunch of young engineers called the New Generation Engineers and put us together to pass on the wealth, sort of like what we would call succession planning today.
Gotcha.
Okay. And they passed on the knowledge to us, and I became the lead worker of that group. And we actually did a little AI back then in the beginning stages of AI, artificial intelligence, to train folks to do what the engineers were charged to do. In other words, reduce the level of experience to some folks that's not used to it, and show them how to get through the hard knocks of testing missiles for the government.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty
It's
intense.
Kind of serious.
Yeah, it was. Dealing with warheads. And even had some experience where there was some launches in on some of our naval ships that we had to actually back them out of to avoid an actual catastrophic problem.
Wow.
It was pretty intense. Actually, some of the things I didn't know how detailed it was when I was working there, to realize that it was pretty important. So it made a good foundation for me.
I can see that. So you never wanted to be an astronaut, though?
No, by no means. By no means.
Well, I happen to know that you graduated from Miami Central Rocket, so I didn't know if that had some influence.
Miami Norland.
Okay.
Miami Norland.
Okay.
Central was one of our arch rivals.
Oh, one of your arch rivals. Okay. So none of your family ever attended there for some reason?
Florida A&M?
No, too.
Central?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why I got it all confused.
Yes.
So,
We're all Miamians.
Yes, but
Bahamian descent.
But anyway, yeah, I was just curious if the if you had attended Central, because people don't realize that is an actual rocket in front of Central. It's not it's not something they just put up a prop.
Right, no, it's actual rocket.
Yeah, they deactivated it and brought it there.
Wow.
Yeah. My class did it, so we're definitely claiming.
I'm probably sure I'm pretty
those
good
props.
friends with some of your classmates during that time frame.
Absolutely. So, so moving forward, you came to the county. Approximately what year was that when you got here?
83, actually.
Okay. So tell us, what did the rail look like then when you arrived?
Well, when I came along, the Metro Mover system was expanding during that time. It was really just an inner loop and outer loop configuration, and it was extending to the Omni Loop with the school board and down to financial district. So we were brought along for that.
Okay.
And the group was expanding then, and it was pretty interesting, and I learned the what's called the APM, Automatic People Mover System. There's no train operators there. It's all operated by a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty intense. And the control is similar to air traffic control. In fact, when I started there, most of the employees were ex-air traffic controllers that didn't fare
Interesting.
well during the Reagan years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're all retired by now. But that was the beginning stages of the personnel in that room. And they helped me out and gave me a hard time sometimes because I was a new kid on the block and quote unquote called the rocket scientist, which I was not, but I just worked on missiles before. But it's all in transportation. It's transporting missiles and warheads and now converted to transporting people.
Okay. That's
Theoretically,
deep.
in the background, it's pretty much the same.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Just a lot of more customer service with moving people versus rocket and warheads.
Wow. That I know when I stepped in there, I felt like I had stepped on Starship Enterprise. So that's a pretty intimidating, center that you have there. Tell us about a little bit more about how it works.
Well, the control center actually houses the control center for a bus also, which is not under my privy, but the mover system and the Metro Rail system, which we upgraded about 5-6 years ago. We went around the country and looked at all the updated control centers and updated ours to be state of the art. Now we're in the process of updating the Metro Mover part of it. We're doing the complete infrastructure, updating the cars. The communication between trains and the system is being upgraded. The computer system is being upgraded.
Mm-hmm.
Very proud of it. It's a major challenge, but it will allow us, if we upgrade or expand the system years from now, an easier process to upgrade or expand the system versus what it is today. And that process is going on right now.
So, and you mentioned earlier about the SMART plan. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the SMART plan has its challenges. We're making way on the busway down south now, which has some issues.
So just for the audience who may not have been following along, just tell them a little bit about what, I forget what that acronym stands for. I don't know.
You're going to challenge me now.
Or maybe not the full name, but just basically what it's
the
about.
SMART plan is the way we're expanding bus and rail services throughout the county with different quarters. You got the south quarter, at the northeast quarter. One area I'm extremely proud to see is starting to take ground is the north quarter.
You and I both.
And I thought it would never happen, but actually I just spent some time with the value engineering study for the north quarter.
Okay.
What's different in 30, 40 years ago is that we're not looking for such a large footprint of a station these days. And we want to make sure our stations are strategically placed for the ridership of the county and to get our folks to as north as possible, which is up to the stadium, the football stadium.
Exactly.
Which we all would like to see. And that's making its way. It's planning stages, but it's good planning. And one of my main concerns is to make sure we can maintain and work on the system in the future. That's one thing folks don't see, that we have to maintain it later on also.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that there's certain what we call crossovers, where we can move trains from one track to the other track, or we work on certain sections. And we work on certain sections of the entire system right now on a daily basis. So besides our service during the hours that you would normally see, during the non-peak hours, like late afternoon and overnight, then we're doing contractual work. We're doing repairs. We're doing maintenance. And that's a pretty tough area to manage in itself because we have folks all over the place. And main concern is to make sure those folks are safe when they're on our guideway. I'm very proud to be a part of a program that is designed to protect folks while they're working on a guideway. Years ago, around 2013, the government had an issue with personnel being killed on properties, the workers themselves, through accidents. And there was something they wanted, dual protection for folks working. And a program that I designed actually is being used throughout the nation at other properties.
Wow, that's huge, Greg.
Yeah, it was a hassle, and changing the mindset of folks of how we do things. But we use that to this day. Other properties are using the same actually our SOP, standard operating procedure, to protect their folks. And you see a decline in personnel being hurt on the systems that they work on.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty dangerous environment that we work on. You have power, you have train movement, and you want to protect those folks and make sure the job is done in the most safest and efficient manner as possible.
Well, congratulations on that accomplishment. That's huge, and that it's been infused into the national arena as well.
Yes, and to add on to that, I'm also part of APTA Standard Committee, and the APTA Standard Committee, American Passenger Transportation Association, writes the standards for the nation. And that's included with people like myself from other properties, and we get together and write these recommended standards that other properties use. And that gave me a great a bit of experience from other people like me in the industry.
Sure.
And we exchange ideas quite often, and we meet usually twice a year. In fact, we just had a session here a few months ago that I hosted. And we had folks from Washington, from New York, from LA, from Atlanta, from Houston, and we meet for 2 or 3 days, and we adjust the standards and make recommendations of how we can keep it safe and how we can make the service efficient. One of our main concerns is other folks design the system, we have to run it. And the main thing, we want to make sure we can run it after the engineers and all the construction work is over, then you have to run the actual service itself.
Wow.
Pretty busy 24-hour service that we have constantly. It never ends.
No doubt about it.
Never ends.
Well, if you just started watching, this is Mobility Matters, presented by the CITT, Citizens Independent Transportation Trust. It's on Facebook and YouTube, streaming directly from the Community News Network on the Miami Community Newspapers social media platforms. You can follow the CITT on social media at GoCITT Transportation Trust, and also you can use the hashtag CITT Ambassador to find out what's going on with the Ambassador Program. And please remember to like us when you visit our pages. I'm Cheryl Mizell, your host and the CITT Ambassador Program Coordinator. My guest is General Superintendent with Miami-Dade County's Department of Transportation and Public Works, who's responsible for the operation of Transit Central Control Center and Metro Rail and Metro Mover Transportation, and he's also a Viking and not a Miami Central Rocket, I'm sorry to report.
It's okay.
But anyway, we have been talking to Greg and learning some pretty amazing things about him. He worked in astronautics for a while. He as an engineer and brought all that to the county, and he's also had some accomplishments on the national scene that affects safety around the country. Have you been involved in any other, I see that you're on a lot of, different kinds of boards that meet. So tell us anything.
Yeah, I mean, APTA is the biggest one.
That's the biggest one.
And COMPTO is a big organization that, in fact, we just had our national conference in COMPTO, where the Miami chapter won a few awards. I think it was Chapter of the Year as far as membership and retention of membership. One of the things that we really try to do is a lot of community involvement and getting our folks used to how to personnel to interview for jobs to move up within the ranks.
Sure, that's a little different.
Yes, it's a little different. And that we do a little bit of everything actually, but it's a pretty active organization that I'm pretty much involved in, and takes up a lot of time, especially with my busy schedule of trying to make sure that a service with Metro Rail and Metro Mover are highlighted and as efficient as possible. I'm sort of like, I consider myself sometimes, I'm the race car driver, and all the other guys make sure the race car is fine, that it runs fine, and I got to make sure I get it around the track.
So what do you consider, I guess, your biggest accomplishment? What are you most proud of? I mean, if you were to to leave today and you look back, what would be a thing you're most proud of?
Managing a safe operation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my main concerns. Making sure our folks go home at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Making sure when we have interruptions, which may be from one extreme to another. I mean, we're in the general public, so you run into a little bit of everything. Want to make sure we have a good customer interaction from our workers to our customers. Sometimes I use the example of if I bought a hamburger from one of our fast food restaurants in Miami, when I go out of town, I want the same hamburger. I don't want to be greeted the same way, just as nice.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you don't know what's going on the other side of that counter. What's that person going through?
Yeah.
But you expect to have the same level of communication, same level of respect between our operators and our maintainers that folks don't see that much, and our customer. One of the main concerns there also is the communication that is clear and precise and up to date on what's going on. A lot of times you have incidents and the customer just can't figure out what's going on. But imagine we're trying to tell 22 miles of service on rail, 22 stations to tell everyone what's going on at one time, because folks want instantaneous information these days.
Yes.
Everyone has a smartphone. Everyone has some connections.
Social
in fact,
media.
Social media. Years ago when we were upgrading our Metro Rail system, when I was in Boston, I realized, and that was Tweet was just starting to be very active. And they realized that the customers were communicating and knowing what's going on before the agency would.
Yes. Yes. I remember those days.
So we brought that into our control room. So we have a large board that has a tweeter. So we can see sometimes there may be an altercation going on the train that the operator doesn't know. We look on that board and say, oh, we see them talking about it, and we can address it much quicker than.
Now it's X. It's X now.
It's
no longer Twitter. It's X.
I can't keep up with all
I
of
know,
it.
right?
My daughters try to tell me, and I said, Daddy, you don't do it that way. I realized I was liking things I wasn't supposed to like because I kept touching the screen.
Accidentally, yeah, that happens.
So I stay away from it now. I'm old school. I'm still using Facebook.
Yes, yes. Now, you were talking about customers. Are there, what should customers expect, or what kind of things do you want to hear from customers in terms of their experiences? I mean, what's important to you to get feedback from customers?
Efficient service. That's what customers are looking for. If you tell them the train is going to be there at 12 o'clock, they're expecting the train to be there at 12 o'clock. If you're expecting that the mover service is running, they're expecting the mover service to be running. A lot of folks use our transportation system to get to work, to get to school. And you have various levels of different type of passengers. You know, we have our hospitality customers that work in the hospitality industry.
Oh, yes.
And a lot of folks take them for granted at times, but those folks are needed to serve our tourists, our hotels, and major work environments, sort of like the Civic Center area. You got the hospital stuff.
Sure.
Douglas Road Station, you got and other stuff in that area. Downtown Government Center is all the downtown. And you've seen a major change or increase back to ridership going through the COVID years when things kind of got a little rough for a little while, but ridership is starting to return now, and folks expect service to be there.
Yes.
You know, and it's pretty tough sometimes. I mean, because you got to imagine that we're managing. We just got out our old trains, our old Bud trains a few years ago, so now we got new trains.
Yes.
You guys are pretty much aware that penny sales tax was very instrumental in that, and we just got rid of all the old Bud cars. Now we got new trains, and they have some little problems here and there, but we're getting those kinks out. So service is actually pretty good on Metro Rail now. Now a big effort is the Metro Mover system.
Yes, everybody's a little, concerned about, the stops not being where they used to be.
yes. Well, it reaches obsolescence now. Safe, but it's an old system now. And that's why we're going through this entire upgrade of the mover system, entire infrastructure, an improvement on the trains. The main thing is how the trains communicate with the computer that's making them operate going around. Okay, it's the latest technology in communication with train called communication-based train control versus moving block. That's pretty deep, but I won't take a slippery dive in that. But it's more efficient, allows trains to run in closer headways. We have a system now that the trains has to be spaced apart by so much.
Okay.
The new system, we can run them much closer.
So they'll be coming faster?
More trains and more faster, more frequency. That's what you want, more frequency. Hopefully, we'll be able to extend to the beach down the road and further west into the Midtown area.
Okay.
I probably won't be around that long, but I'll be glad that I'm a part of the initial phases right now. Those are challenges. I actually start off every morning at 4 o'clock and get what I call a pulse check at 5 o'clock in the morning.
From your team?
From the team, and that team lets me know if I have any issues to deal with that day, the number of trains available, number of operators available, any issues that I would have to deal with to make the adjustments, and notify our marketing department so we can send out to the world, here's what's happening today.
Gotcha. And
during the day, I'm just my finger on the pulse all day long. And I'm the man in the middle and responsible for making sure that it runs. And I have a great staff up under me, a real good staff I'm very proud of. In fact, one of my chiefs in my control room, his father actually trained me.
Oh my goodness, talking about turn around.
Yes, it's amazing. When I first started as a controller in the room, one of my controllers would bring his son by to visit on bring your kid to work thing. And there was this kid that would come by and visit every once in a while. And then he went on to Florida State, and his father would talk about music with me, because I'm marching 100 and the marching 100 at Florida A&M back in those days. And sure enough, in a short story, that kid came to work for us, and he's a young man now, and he's now my chief controller.
Oh my goodness.
It's amazing. And got another chief also. So the future is I think in solid hands for the control center by the two chiefs that's under my tutelage, and I'm very proud. And they got new ideas, and I'm sort of like the old man now to them. I'm the daddy figure now.
Wow, that's great that you're leaving a legacy, and there's some succession training going on, so it'll continue.
Well, someone laid the path for me, and that was Mr. Bradley. And I remember he always said, Greg, help somebody out.
Yes. That sounds like
somewhere in the past,
Bradley.
Help somebody out.
Pay it forward.
He taught me how to run a control center. And from Bradley, we've been through a number of transit directors to now we have Mr. Clickley, director and CEO. And it's exciting time now because new direction, infrastructure bills in place now. We're starting to get the smart plan off the ground. And it's just really exciting time. I mean, I'm kind of sad that I'm toward the end when things are starting to
really crank
progress
up.
again.
Yeah, you were laying the foundation.
I'm proud to be a part of that part.
Well, it looks like we're just about out of time. Is there anything you haven't shared that you'd like to share before we close out?
Not really, but I'd like to say there's plenty of opportunities in transit that a lot of folks don't see, which you mentioned earlier. Everyone sees the bus operator, which we have some incentives to get bus operators on. But they usually only see bus operators and train operators. There's mechanics, there's engineers, there's maintainers that maintain the system and our signaling system, which is pretty tough. A lot of folks don't see all that. So that's why in our CompTO organization, which works with the Department of Transportation and Public Works, so I'm involved in both sides, to introduce this system to folks that don't see it the way we see it. So we bring them actually into the control center. And that's pretty. That really gets the excitement going because they don't see those kind of things. It's amazing. The young generation now. The first thing, the question is, how much can I make?
They're a little different. They don't stay as long in one place.
It's a little different. And that I see as a challenge for us in the future is that it's a different generation now. They want instantaneous gratification, different work schedules. That is going to be our challenge down the road for us, the workforce. And I see we may make some adjustments down the road. A couple of months ago, I did a webinar with other properties about how do we train to retain operators in this environment when you have Uber and all these things where folks are jumping to where they have flexible schedules. That means we may need to move to flexible schedules also.
Right.
So there's some challenges.
Well, I'm sure you will take them on and get it figured out before you leave and leave it a great legacy. So
Well, I'm not leaving tomorrow.
I know.
Okay,
I know,
but I'll be
I
around
know,
for a little while.
I
But
know.
I am at I would consider the
Twilight,
twilight
yeah,
years
there
of
you
my
go.
career.
Well, audience, we'd like to thank you for joining us today. If you missed part of the show, you can watch from the beginning. Just check back for the links to the full video on our page. And a very special thanks to our guest, Gregory Robinson. He's the General Superintendent with Miami-Dade County's Department of Transportation and Public Works, DTPW, responsible for the operation of the Transit Central Control Center and Metro Rail and Metro Mover Transportation. Remember to visit CITT, our website, and learn more about becoming a trust member or an ambassador. I'm Cheryl Mizell, your host and CITT program coordinator. Please join us again in 2 weeks when Javier Betancourt returns as your host to Mobility Matters. Until then, keep moving forward.